All right, ready to dive into some delicate aromas and rich flavors?
Sounds good to me.
Perfect. Because today we're going deep into Taiwanese oolong tea.
Oh, excellent choice.
Yeah, and we've got a bunch of really interesting articles and excerpts here. Really want to unlock what makes this tea so special.
It's fascinating stuff. One of the things that really struck me is how Taiwanese oolong kind of bridges the gap, right? Between black and green teas, you've
Yeah.
got that balance thanks to partial oxidation.
Okay, gotta unpack this partial oxidation thing. I get black tea, I get green tea. Where does oolong fit in?
Yeah, so think of it like a spectrum. So you've
Right.
got black tea on one end, fully oxidized, which gives it that like strong flavor and that darker color.
Right.
And then on the opposite end, you've got green tea,
Yeah.
barely oxidized at all. And that's known for, those grassy notes. Oolong, right in the
Yep.
middle.
Okay.
You go through this really careful process where the leaves are bruised and exposed to the air, but only for a very specific amount of time.
Interesting. So it's not just about the tea leaf itself, it's also how it's handled that gives it those characteristics.
Exactly. That's what creates that complexity in oolong. I mean, when you're steeping it, it's like you're unfolding these layers of flavor.
Oh, wow.
You get the light and floral, but then it goes deeper into those richer notes.
Almost like it's telling you a story as it brews, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got the environment, right? Taiwan, it's known for its misty mountains and all that fertile land.
Right. So that must play a role too.
Huge role. The climate and terrain in Taiwan, it's just ideal for growing tea. You've got high altitude, cool air, and frequent mists.
So like the perfect environment.
Exactly. The tea plants, they just thrive there.
Yeah.
And that's how they develop all those unique, subtle flavors.
Makes sense. We've got this unique processing method, perfect growing conditions. No wonder Taiwanese oolong is so special.
It's a combination of things, for sure.
Okay, so now I'm dying to know more about like the different varieties. What are some of the stars? What stands out in the Taiwanese oolong world?
Well, you can't talk about Taiwanese oolong without mentioning High Mountain Oolong, right? It's grown in the highest peaks of Taiwan, often surrounded by mist.
High Mountain Oolong. I love that name. What's it actually like to taste something that's grown that high up?
Close your eyes. Imagine you're standing on a mountain peak. Clouds all around you.
Okay.
The air is fresh, clean. There's this incredible sense of peace. That's High Mountain Oolong. Light, delicate, and with a subtle sweetness.
So it really captures that mountain freshness.
Exactly. Pure mountain fresh.
Wow. Okay, I can already tell. I'm going to have to try that one. What else is on our oolong tasting tour?
All right, so next we have Dongding Oolong, grown on the slopes of Dongding Mountain.
Dongding Oolong, that name. I feel like I should be sitting on a porch somewhere just like rocking back and forth.
Yeah, it does have that sort of comforting, kind of down-to-earth quality to it. Dongding, it's medium oxidized, so a bit more body and a richer flavor than that High Mountain. They roast it, which gives it these warm, almost like caramel notes, like curl up on a chilly evening kind of tea.
All right, I'm definitely adding that to my list. High Mountain for serenity, Dongding for cozy nights. Now, there was one that I saw that really piqued my interest. Oriental Beauty.
Oh, Oriental Beauty, yeah.
What's the story behind that one?
That one's truly unique. Not only does it have this amazing honey sweetness and this captivating floral aroma, but the way they produce it, it's fascinating.
Okay, tell me more.
Okay, so get this. Tiny insects called leaf hoppers,
Uh-huh.
they nibble on the tea leaves.
Really?
Yeah. And that actually causes a reaction in the plant, which, get this, enhances the sweetness and complexity.
Hold on, insects. So I'm basically drinking bug-kissed tea. I've got to admit, that's a little hard to
Oh, no, right.
wrap my head around. But honey-like sweetness. Intriguing. How does it actually, work?
Okay, so when those leaf hoppers, those little insects, when they bite those leaves, the plant releases these compounds, right? Like a defense mechanism. And those compounds, there would give Oriental Beauty its unique sweetness and fruity notes.
So it's like the plant is turning this attack into something delicious.
Exactly.
Wow, that's amazing. So we've got delicate and floral, warm and toasty, and even honey sweetness, all thanks to some helpful insects. Anything else the world of Taiwanese oolong has for us?
Well, if you're ready for something bold and intense,
Yeah.
let me introduce you to Tea Guanyin.
Bring on the boldness.
All right, this one is often called the espresso of oolong teas.
Okay, I like that.
It's deeply roasted, so you get this rich, nutty flavor with hints of toast and dark chocolate.
Espresso of oolong tea. So that's the one for when I need a serious caffeine kick.
It could certainly provide that, but it's also one you can savor.
Yeah.
That aftertaste lingers and evolves.
All right. 4 fantastic varieties here. High Mountain, Dongding, Oriental Beauty, and Tiguanyin. It's amazing how much diversity there is in just this one type of tea, but I get the feeling that there's more to Taiwanese oolong than just the taste, right?
You're absolutely right. It's woven into the culture and tradition. There's this whole ritual around preparing and enjoying tea, known as the gongfu tea ceremony.
The gongfu tea ceremony. I'm intrigued. Sounds kind of formal, though. Is this an everyday thing in Taiwan or more for special occasions?
Well, it could be both, actually. The beauty of gongfu is that you can adapt it,
Hmm.
you know.
Oh,
Some people do it daily, kind of a mindfulness meditation thing. Others, yeah, special gatherings. Or just to slow down and enjoy the tea.
so it's like creating an experience around tea, right? Not just drinking it.
Exactly. Yeah.
What makes it so special? What are the key elements?
Well, for starters, you use specific tools and techniques, things designed to really enhance the flavor and aroma.
Yeah.
Instead of your typical teapot, you might use a special clay pot called a yixing, or like a lidded cup called a gaiwan.
Oh, I've seen those Yixing teapots. Those are beautiful, yeah. What makes them so special for, brewing?
They're not just pretty to look at. Yixing clay, it's porous. So it absorbs the oils from the tea over time.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that creates this seasoning that adds depth to every brew. It's like the pot gets its own personality.
I love that. And the Gaiwan.
That's great for watching the leaves unfurl, and enjoying all those aromas that come out as you brew.
So it's all about choosing the right vessel to, really bring out the best in the tea.
Right.
What about the actual brewing process? Is it, really complicated?
It's not about being complicated. It's more about precision and mindfulness. Water temperature is key.
Okay.
You want it hot enough to get the flavors, but not so hot you burn the leaves. Usually 85 to 95 degrees Celsius is ideal for oolong.
Good to know. I'm definitely guilty of just boiling the water and going for it. And the steeping time. How long for oolong?
This is where gongfu really stands out. Forget those tea bags that you leave in for minutes. We're talking short infusions, sometimes just 30 to 60 seconds.
Wow, really? Why so short? I feel like you wouldn't get much flavor.
You'd think so, but no. It's all about keeping those delicate flavors and letting the tea unfold, but slowly, over many brews.
So you're bringing out the flavors, layer by layer.
Exactly. And with each brew, it changes a bit. The first might be light and floral, then you get sweeter, then deeper notes.
So it's a journey, not just a cup of tea.
Exactly. And how they serve it enhances that. Small cups, no handles. So you can really focus on each sip and the aroma.
It's all about slowing down and, engaging all the senses.
Absolutely. It's a mindful ritual. Being present, appreciating the tea, the company.
Yeah. So we brewed the tea. We're taking these little sips. What else is part of the ceremony? Any special etiquette or customs?
There are some traditional gestures, things like that. For example, when the tea master pours for you, you tap 2 fingers on the table. Sign of respect.
Oh, that's nice. Like a silent thank you for the tea and the effort.
Exactly. And when they're pouring, you might notice them using a special strainer to filter out any leaves.
So it's like every detail is considered an art form.
It really is. But it's not just about the tea itself, right? It's about the connection, the conversation, the whole experience.
Right. You mentioned earlier that it can be adapted, so I don't have to be in a formal tea house to do this.
Not at all. You can do a simpler version at home.
Yeah.
Good quality tea, proper water temperature, short steeping times, and those small cups.
So I can create that same mindful experience even without the fancy tools.
Exactly. It's about the intention. You can find teapots and gaiwans online, and there are lots of resources out there to guide you.
This has been eye-opening. I'm seeing tea in a whole new light.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's not just a drink. It's a way to connect with culture and ourselves.
Well said.
Speaking of connecting, let's talk about tea houses in Taiwan. You said they're incredibly popular. What makes them so central to the Taiwanese life?
Think of them as more than just places to get a drink. They're social hubs, community centers, even places of business.
So like a cafe, a community center, and a co-working space all rolled into one.
Exactly. You'll see everyone there, students, friends, business people. There's a sense of community there,
And it sounds like
Right.
there's a tea house for everyone. You mentioned earlier that they range in style from traditional to modern.
There is.
Can you, paint me a picture of what it's like to walk into a traditional Taiwanese tea house?
Okay, close your eyes. Imagine stepping into a space that's, elegant but welcoming. You can smell the tea brewing. There's soft conversation, maybe some traditional music. They might have intricate wood carvings, calligraphy scrolls, antique teaware.
Sounds like stepping back in time.
It is. But there's also this vibrancy. People are connecting, telling stories.
Mm.
It's a mix of tradition and the modern world.
Sounds like the perfect place to unwind.
It really is.
Yeah.
Whether you're doing a formal ceremony or just enjoying tea with friends, it's an experience you won't forget.
So we've explored the different oolongs, the gongfu ceremony, and gotten a glimpse of this vibrant tea house culture. It's more than just a drink. It's art, culture, community.
It's all about connecting with nature, tradition, each other. In a world that's always moving, it's a moment of pause.
So as we start to wrap up our deep dive, what are some key takeaways? What do you hope our listener walks away with?
I hope they're inspired to explore Taiwanese oolong. To discover all those unique flavors and aromas, I hope the gongfu ceremony intrigues them.
To see it not just as rules, but like an invitation to slow down, be present.
Exactly. And maybe they'll even be inspired to find a tea house or create their own little ritual at home.
Exactly. Finding those moments of mindfulness in everyday life.
And tea can be a great way to do that.
Well said. Now, before we say goodbye, one final thought. We've talked about different varieties, the art of brewing, the culture, but what about personal preference?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Is there a right way to experience oolong, or is it more about finding what you like, what speaks to you?
That's a great question. Because, the beauty of tea is that, like art, it should evoke a personal response.
So it's about finding your own way to connect with tea, not just following rules.
Exactly. And that journey of discovery is what makes tea so fascinating.
Well, it looks like we've reached the end of our deep dive into Taiwanese oolong. We've covered so much. The different varieties, the gongfu ceremony, the culture.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
There's a whole world waiting to be discovered. So to our listener, we encourage you, keep exploring. Seek out those teas that grab your attention. Try different ways of brewing. Maybe even embark on your own tea adventure.
And remember, there's no right way. Just find what brings you joy, what helps you connect, and what brings a little peace into your day.
Beautifully said. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
All right, so we're in this traditional tea house, ready for the gongfu ceremony. What's first?
First things first, you've got to choose your tea. The tea master will probably bring out a few different oolongs for you to smell. Each one's going to have its own aroma, its own personality.
So you're using your sense of smell even before you brew. I like it.
Exactly. It's all about waking up your senses,
Yeah.
getting ready for that mindful tea experience. Once you've made your choice, the master carefully measures out the leaves and puts them in your brewing vessel. Could be a Yixing teapot or a gaiwan.
Okay, so we've got our beautiful teapot, or gaiwan. We've got our tea leaves. What happens next?
Now it's time to warm up the pot. The master pours hot water over it, swirls it around, makes sure the tea brews at just the right temperature.
I bet this is more than just a practical step. It feels almost like reverent.
You're right. Every single step in gongfu is done with intention. It's about slowing down, paying attention, connecting with the moment.
Okay, so the pot is warmed, the leaves are ready, time to brew.
Almost. But first, we do an initial rinse, pour hot water over those leaves, and then we toss it out.
Wait, you throw away the first brew? Why?
A couple of reasons. First, it wakes up the leaves, opens them up, gets them ready,
Oh.
and it also cleanses them, gets rid of any dust or anything like that.
So it's like a little wake-up call for the tea, getting it prepped.
Exactly. Now the leaves are ready to go. We pour the hot water over them again, put the lid on, and we wait. Just 30 to 60 seconds usually. Depends on the tea and how strong you want it.
Wow, that's a fast steep. Way shorter than I usually do it. What's the thinking there?
It's all about avoiding bitterness
Mm.
and, letting those flavors develop over time with multiple infusions.
So you're like drawing out those flavors bit by bit?
Exactly. Each infusion tells a different part of the story. The first brew might be light and floral, the second one's sweeter, and later on you get those deep, complex notes.
It's like a flavor adventure.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the way they serve it adds to that. Small cups, no handles. You really savor each sip, Appreciate the aroma.
It's all about slowing down, being present.
Yes. It's a mindful ritual. It's about the tea, the company, the whole experience.
Yeah. So we've got our tea, we're taking our little sips. What else happens during the ceremony? Any special etiquette or anything?
Yeah, there are some traditional things. Like when the tea master pours your cup, you tap 2 fingers on the table as a sign of respect, gratitude.
Oh, I love that. It's like a silent thank you.
Exactly. And you might see them using a special tool, a tea strainer, to filter out any stray leaves as they pour.
So much attention to detail. Every little thing is thought out. It really is an art.
It is.
Oh.
But it's not just about the tea. It's about the people, the connection.
You said earlier we can adapt the ceremony, so it doesn't have to be in a fancy tea house.
Nope. You can definitely do a simplified version at home. The basics are the same. Good tea, the right water temperature, those short infusions, small cups.
So even without all the fancy tools and the tea master, I can still create that special feeling at home.
For sure. It's all about your intention. You can find beautiful teapots and guy ones online these days,
Yeah.
and there's tons of info out there to guide you.
This has been incredible. It's like I'm looking at tea with brand new eyes. It's not just a drink, it's this whole experience.
I'm glad you think so.
A way to connect with different cultures, with ourselves. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Speaking of connecting, let's talk more about those tea houses in Taiwan. You said they're super popular. What makes them such a big part of life there?
They're more than just places to grab a drink. Think of them as social hubs, community centers, sometimes even places to do business.
Wow, so it's like a cafe, a community center, and a co-working space all in one.
Exactly. You'll find all kinds of people there, students studying, friends catching up, even business deals happening over tea. It's really unique.
And you mentioned different styles, traditional to modern. Can you take me back to that traditional tea house? What's it like inside?
Okay, imagine this. You walk into this space, and it's elegant, but also really welcoming. You can smell the tea, people are talking, maybe there's some traditional music playing. The decor. Think intricate wood carvings, maybe some calligraphy scrolls, antique teaware on display.
It sounds like a step back in time.
It is,
Yeah.
but it's also lively, full of energy. People connecting, sharing stories. It's the old world meeting the new.
It sounds like the perfect place to just relax and soak it all in.
It really is. Whether you're going all in on the formal ceremony or just enjoying a pot with friends, it's something special.
We've covered so much, the different types of oolong, that amazing gongfu ceremony, and now this glimpse into tea house culture. Taiwanese oolong, it's more than just a drink. It's art, culture, community.
It really shows you how much people want to connect with nature, with tradition, with each other. And in our busy world, it's a reminder to just slow down, appreciate what we have.
As we start to wrap up our deep dive, what are some key things you hope our listeners take away? What do you want them to remember?
I hope this has sparked some curiosity. Maybe they'll want to try some Taiwanese oolongs, see what all those unique flavors are about.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll be interested in learning more about the gongfu ceremony.
Not as a list of rules, but as a way to be more mindful, more present.
Exactly. Maybe they'll even feel inspired to find a tea house or try to create their own little ritual at home.
Yeah, finding those little pockets of peace in everyday life.
And tea can be a great guide for that.
So well said. Before we go, I have one last thought. We've talked about the teas, the brewing, the culture.
Yeah.
But what about personal taste?
That's a good one.
Is there a right way to enjoy oolong? Or is it more about finding what speaks to you personally?
That's a great question to think about. Because in the end, tea is like art. It's meant to make you feel something.
So it's not about following all the rules perfectly. It's about discovering your own connection to tea.
Exactly. And that journey of discovery, that's what makes tea so exciting.
Well, it looks like we've come to the end of our Taiwanese oolong adventure.
It has been quite a journey.
We went from those mountain peaks to those bustling tea houses. We talked about flavors, aromas, and all those traditions.
And it's just the beginning.
So to our listeners, keep exploring. Find those teas that intrigue you. Experiment with brewing. Maybe even have your own tea adventure. Visit a tea house. Create a ritual at home, whatever feels right.
And remember, there's no one right way. Find what makes you happy, what helps you connect, what brings you a little peace.
Beautifully said. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
It really is amazing. To think something as simple as tea can have all this history, all this meaning behind it.
Definitely. It shows you the power of these traditions, how they connect us to something bigger.
Thinking back on all the oolongs we talked about, if you had to pick one for our listener to try first, which one would you go with to introduce them to this world of Taiwanese oolong?
Oh, that's a tough one. They all have their own special qualities.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose, maybe a classic. Alishan High Mountain Oolong.
Why Alishan? What makes that a good starting point?
Well, for one, it's a great way to experience the lighter side of oolong, that delicate side. It's got this incredible aroma, almost like you're smelling a bouquet of flowers. And the taste, clean, crisp, refreshing. Even someone who's really into tea will be impressed.
All right, Alishan High Mountain Oolong it is. Now, where would you suggest our listener enjoy this first cup? Busy tea house? Or maybe a quiet, peaceful place?
That's a good question. It really depends on the person. what kind of experience they're looking for. If you're
Mhm.
someone who loves energy, loves being around people, then yeah, a tea house might be perfect. Soak in the atmosphere, chat with other tea lovers.
What about for someone who wants a more, like, reflective experience?
Then I'd say find a quiet spot. Could be out in nature or even just a cozy corner at home. Brew your tea, really take in that aroma, and just savor each sip. It's like being transported to those misty mountains of Taiwan.
Whether it's a tea house or at home, the important thing is being open to it, right?
Exactly. Experiment a little. Try different teas, different ways of brewing. See what you like, what speaks to you. Find that connection with Taiwanese oolong.
Who knows? Maybe you'll even create your own little tradition, something that brings you a little peace in your day.
That's what it's all about.
Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into Taiwanese oolong.
It's been a pleasure.
We've covered so much ground, from those high mountain peaks to the bustling tea houses, all those varieties, the gongfu ceremony. It's been quite a journey.
And I hope it's just the beginning for our listeners.
To our listeners, we encourage you, keep exploring that world of tea, see what magic you can find in every cup, and until next time, happy steeping.